Amabad, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, I would like to start today's proceedings. We invited quite a few friends, parliamentarians, as well as some guests from Kashmir and organizational heads from UK as well. Unfortunately, it's our tradition that we always come late and we wait for a guest speaker and MPs. But this time we have started early because one parliamentarian was here. The second is sitting with us. I would like to welcome a member of parliament from Bari. They were not a friend of mine. We fought European parliamentary election together in '99. They were given us some refreshments as well. Joined us at 5 o'clock. Thank you very much, David. Another one good thing we had, we have celebrated one of our colleagues' birthday in House of Commons, Shafila Akhtar's birthday today. So we are thankful to Yasmin Qureshi MP. She got cake for us. Today we have requested, sir. We have requested parliamentarian to today, especially on this subject of Kashmir self-determination. I would like to welcome Sir Del Kaufman, MP for Manchester Gorton, who is very outspoken on Kashmir cause and very well-wisher of our cause. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. And on behalf of my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm thankful to all of you who have joined us for this afternoon. Kashmir issue, which we've been campaigning from last 2 years. Our organization, Jammu Kashmir Self-Determination Movement, has started our 3rd year. Although we are all working from last 25 years to highlight our issue in British and European Parliament, we are the only organization and group of people who will be working very closely with the parliamentarians in this country and in European Parliament. So I'm thankful to all of those people who have supported us in the past. I'm hoping to get their support in the future as well. Jammu Kashmir Self-Determination Movement is campaigning for the right of self-determination, for the freedom of people of Jammu and Kashmir, the whole state of Jammu and Kashmir, which includes occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Azad Kashmir, and Gilgit-Baltistan. We would like to highlight atrocities being committed by the Indian security forces in Jammu and Kashmir. Also, we raise various issues with the government of Pakistan regarding Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan as well. Same time, we are trying our best to work very closely with the British and European politicians, including the political parties. In last 2 years, we had several conferences and meetings and functions throughout the country, and we are the only organization that we don't organize any event without member of parliament. We don't invite just only our own friends and family members and put photographs in the newspaper. So this organization has got unique friendship with the parliamentarians because we work closely with them and they work closely with us. I'm thankful to all of them. Now we have got some plan for the future in the European Parliament. We are holding a Kashmir seminar with the help of Socialist Group and a conference which will be also supported by the Conservative Group and the Socialist Group, both and Liberal Democrats leader in the European Parliament. Jammu Kashmir Self-Determination Movement Europe is planning to organize a regional conference in every region, in 11 regions of the country in next whole year. We are planning to organize meetings and seminars in more than 200 constituencies in next 4 months before the May elections. We wanted to go to see every member of parliament during their election campaign for the local elections, and trying to mobilize the local Pakistani and Kashmiri community and the local community as well. Same time, we are trying to encourage our youngsters, women section. What we have planned for the future, that we are reorganizing the organization, and in out of 11 regions, we are planning to have 6 regions led by women activists. So that's our future planning, and we are going to ask our friends and parliamentarians who are in British Parliament to what they have got in their mind, what they have got their planning for the future of Kashmir work, Kashmir campaign in the Parliament. So we are hoping the Lord Nazim, Chairman of our party Kashmir, will join us for 6, and also we will have our friend who has booked this committee room for us, Andrew Stevenson, Chairman of our party's Pakistan group, who is also joining us 7 o'clock. He is going to see Prime Minister this time. So I'm thankful to him on behalf of our organization. Now I would like to request my friend David, Member of Parliament from Bury, because he has to leave, so he should say some few words, please.
Yeah, more than happy to say a few words, and to start off, if I may, by thanking you, Roger. I'm probably here, I'm almost developing a cold, and I hope it doesn't get any worse than it is, but it's attacked my life pretty badly over the last few days, and I hear it's beginning to attack me in the same way. As Roger said, we go back a long way, and of course, as every January the 1st passes, another year ticks on to the number of years it was. It's now 12 years since those European elections, and the issues stay the same, and I have to pay a great deal of respect and thanks for the work that you have done over the years to really keep this subject in the public eye, because there is a danger with so many things happening in the world, with natural disasters that we've seen, including, of course, the terrible flooding in Pakistan, which understandably likely takes precedence and seizes the attention of the world media. And of course, there seems to be a never-ending, sadly, a never-ending list and litany of natural disasters. In the last few weeks, we've seen flooding in Australia, mudsliding in South America. But we must never give up our belief in self-determination for the area and the region of Jammu Kashmir. It is important that the organisations like yours and keep on meeting in arenas like this and keep drawing the attention of parliamentarians to the problem. It's probably one of the longest standing political problems in the world almost. There could be few issues that have dragged on for so many decades, and it's not something that is going to be resolved overnight, and it is something on which I'm pleased to say that there is cross-party agreement about, and I'm very pleased I defer to my colleague from Manchester Gorton, Mr. Gerald Coughlin, who has much greater experience than I, and will be able to speak with the benefit of those years in Parliament on this subject at much greater length, I'm sure, than I can. But what I do bring to your organisation is a commitment to the cause, which I've always had. Going back to when I was in Rotherham, we had a Kashmiri community in Rotherham, and I chatted with Kashmiris in those days. I have to be honest with you, many of them were on a different side politically to me, but I always believed in their right to self-determination. And I've carried that with me, and I'm prepared to stand up as I have. And I have to say I'm delighted to see my friends here from Bury today. It's great that they've taken the trouble to come down to Westminster. And they will vouch for the fact that I am more than happy to say public platforms in Bury that I believe in the right to self-determination. But it isn't going to happen overnight. It's something which we will need to keep lobbying on. And we are indeed fortunate that a former Member of Parliament for Bury North, Alistair Bird, is now a Minister who has overall responsibility for the region, and I have spoken to him personally about this matter on several occasions, and I know he is fully aware, both from his time in Bury, many years of experience in the House, of all the issues surrounding Kashmir. And I think that one thing that we can be sure of is that the area and region of Kashmir is in safe hands with Alistair Bird, and I know that he is fully conversant with the issues involved, and it is about ensuring that the wider international community draws on the strength that you can give to get everyone together. There has to be a negotiated settlement, and there has to be self-determination for the people of Kashmir. But it isn't, as I say, going to happen overnight. And I do think that it's very important that the work that has begun and that's been outlined by your chairman here tonight is continued, and that you continue to build alliances and grow the movement, not just in the mill towns and the former mill towns of the North of England, but right across the country. Wherever you have a Kashmiri community, it may be smaller in some areas than others, but if you have a Kashmiri community, no matter how small, please engage members of Parliament. Even if there's only a couple of dozen Kashmiris in the constituency, it's still worthwhile meeting with a member of Parliament and putting the issues to him or her so that they too can be aware of the issues. Because the more support that we have here in Parliament, the better. And I think, Mr. Chairman, with that, I wish you very well indeed. I look forward, I will stay as long as I can and listen to as much of your seminar here tonight as I can. And as ever, I will continue to support you in the work that you do in the months and the years ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. One of our activists, she is helping us to organize the ladies. She was parliamentary candidate from Max Street, Itrat Ali. We always call her Dr. Itrat Ali. She told me last week, I'm not doctor, don't make me doctor. I request Itrat Ali to say a few words, please.
Yeah, thank you. As I say, my name is Itrat, and I was a parliamentary candidate in Makerfield, just outside Wigan. And I'm actually a scientist by trade, not a doctor, but I do work with doctors. And I'm quite new to politics, and quite recently affiliated to the organisation. And I was approached by Vladimir here, and with the view of trying to expand, particularly the women's wing. The feedback that we're getting from a lot of the parliamentarians in the UK is that the organisation itself does a very good job, and Rashid Javad has done a sterling job over the years to highlight the issue of Kashmir and organise meeting after meeting. But one of the things that was highlighted in the UK, particularly by the parliamentarians, was that it seemed to be, quite predominantly male-dominated, and Kashmir is not an exclusive male issue. It's important to all spectrum of the community, and in particular, us women make up part of the population. And some of the sort of atrocities that are committed in Kashmir and at the border do affect women more so than the men. I mean, I have looked at sort of basic research on the internet, and in the West here in the UK, I'm a parliamentarian and I'm a scientist, but the most important role that I play, in my eyes, I'm a housewife, I'm a mum, and a daughter, and they're really important roles that in the West as women take for granted. But just looking at Kashmir and looking at how the women of Kashmir are affected, that it's very difficult for them to even sort of adapt to those basic roles. I mean, so many of them are affected by the loss of husbands at such an early age, find it difficult to support their children. There's kids that are orphaned, so they don't fulfill those roles as mothers. So these roles that we take in the UK for granted as females, so many of our sisters in Kashmir cannot do. So from a humanitarian point of view, I think it's very important that we engage with this organisation to highlight and educate people about what they do. So one of the things that we've done over in the Northwest is to try and extrapolate the number of females that we've got. And I'm very pleased to say that the last conference that we held in Manchester, in fact, the females outnumbered the males by about 50%. We had about 70 to 80 women attend that conference compared to about 30 men. So we more than doubled the male constituency. Yeah. So what we're trying to send out to our parliamentarians in particular, and the UK government, is that this issue of Kashmir is not an exclusively male-dominated arena. The women of your constituencies are passionate about what goes on, and in particular the violation and the abuse that happens to women. It's something we're passionate about, and we want something to be done about. And we're trying to mobilise that. And one of the things that I think Julie mentioned at the last meeting I was talking about was the fact that it's an education thing, and we need to get people to be educated and to actually highlight this to their local MPs. It's something that we're working on as an organisation, is to try and educate people and to try and get them to put forward their views on a local level to their MPs. But personally, just to end on, what I'd like to ask, the MPs that we've got here present today, is that, firstly, I ask for your continued support as an organisation itself, and also for the force and for the self-determination. Secondly, I'd like to ask you to educate, we're doing our bit to educate our sort of community and people who, not only of Kashmiri origin, but Pakistani and Asian origin. But, I'd ask you as parliamentarians to, on our behalf, if we could have your commitment to educate your peers, because, even though we have got a large amount of support from parliamentarians in the UK, we're very lucky as an organisation, grateful that we do have that support. We would appreciate any help that we can have from your part to try and educate people, and to, when you're speaking with your colleagues, to discuss, our organisation, to highlight the importance of it to them, because no doubt, as you mentioned in your talk, a large number of your constituents are of Kashmiri origin, and it is important to them, and that's not exclusive to the north or the northwest, it's throughout the UK. And to ask for your commitment to raise the issue of Kashmir at your platform, and to try and encourage, as British parliamentarians, I know it's not something that it can be done overnight, and solutions aren't going to happen in the next few days or even years, but to get your commitment to keep on the pressure on the Home Office, and to try and encourage that positive dialogue between Pakistan and India, because war is futile, as we all know, and often results in bloodshed and innocent lives, women and children. The real solution really is around the boardroom like this, and that's what we'd like you to encourage, with the powers that they've invested in you, is to try and encourage on our behalf the two nations, India and Pakistan, and the parliamentarians of those nations, to actually sit around the boardroom and try and come up with a feasible conclusion to this conflict that's been going on far too long. So,
thank you very much. Thank you, Edred.
Of our schools have been involved in this over the years are concerned about the human rights issues in Kashmir. Those of us who had the opportunity of visiting Jammu Kashmir, as I have on a considerable number of occasions, have seen for ourselves the oppression, the torture, the killing, the rape, all of the actions which depict the situation in Kashmir, but without in any way belittling the human rights aspect of what is going on and has been going on since 1947 in Jammu and Kashmir. It's an essential issue for the world's politicians because of the fact that it involves two nuclear-armed nations which confront each other and which have fought 3 wars already about Jammu and Kashmir. And it's therefore not simply a human rights issue, though it is a profoundly important human rights issue, but it is also an issue without which there cannot be tranquility in salvation, and far more widely, without its being settled. And those of us who have been involved in this for some time realise and are aware that its international profile has got to be raised, and that is one of the things that we have to do the whole time. This is not simply a domestic dispute between two Asian powers over a territory whose sovereignty they both dispute. It's an international issue relating to peace or war, and it is also a key issue on the basis that you cannot have a settlement between two large countries over the wishes of the people who live in Jammu and Kashmir. And that has always been the approach that I've had, and which I tried to persuade the Labour Party to adopt, and succeeded in doing so when I was Shadow Foreign Secretary. It is impossible to have a solution for Jammu and Kashmir without the consent and participation of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. And it is up to all of us, and I welcome this extremely well-attended meeting, but it is up to all of us to heighten the profile of this issue internationally. I do not believe that the United States has been consistent in giving the need for a settlement its priority, and it's one of my disappointments with the present President of the United States. And the European Union has a huge role to play, and some of us have tried to do that with the European Parliament. We must continue doing so. And this is an all-party issue in the House of Commons, and it's up to all of us to persuade the House of Commons and the British Parliament as a whole, but also the leaderships of our respective parties, to give it a high profile. I have already discussed it, and I'm arranging to have a meeting with the new Shadow Foreign Secretary, Beth Cooper, because she is on a learning curve, and I think that she is working very hard on issues. She's been to Palestine already, for example. But it's essential that we put pressure in our Parliament on this. I can assure you that it remains among my very, very highest priorities for human rights issues, political rights. But we've got to push it farther, and what we have to do is make sure that this Parliament and the leaderships of the political parties in this Parliament are not allowed to forget at any time the need for what we called our organisation when we formed it in Manchester, and we called it Justice for Jammu and Kashmir. That is what we have to do, and speaking with and for my colleagues, I assure you that we shall go on doing it, and we shall not rest until there's a solution of this issue which is acceptable to the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
Thank you very much. We just had a meeting with Red Cooper on Friday evening with a group of people. We presented this letter to her as well, and she promised to raise the issue and also election leaves for Megrapani from the East West. She organized that meeting for us. And Hillary Ben was there as well. So the three of them, they promised to support us, and it will be so kind of you. And a senior person like you raise that issue with her, and she will listen to you. So now I would like to request another supporter of Kashmir cause. Since she has been elected, I think she has got number 10 out of 10. She has attended every single meeting organization. Julie Ealing to say you.
And thank you for inviting me, and thank you for organising this. And I apologise to people who've already heard this, because I'm going to say much the same as I've said on previous occasions. Because I do think that, I think for me this starts as well with the story of Kashmir. And actually, if you went out onto the streets, outside now, and said to people, what do you know about Kashmir? They would probably say, well, I think they sell really nice jumpers in Marks and Spencer's. Because people don't know about Kashmir, they don't know the story at all. And if you think about the world now, there are so many trouble spots in the world, so many atrocities happening throughout the world. How do we make, and how do you make, and how do we do it together to make Kashmir an issue where people actually say, we've got to do something about it? Because the most recent response I think that I had from the government was, well, you know, we'll support a solution, but actually we're not going to be fundamentally involved in seeking that solution. And we somehow need to change that. So the British government are actually saying, no, we've got to actively do something about changing it. So I want to just talk a little bit about how I think we have to do some of that. And it starts with education. We had a meeting in Bolton where we had some women came to the meeting who are of Kashmiri heritage and who should have known, and whose fathers were very involved in the whole struggle, who actually were saying they knew very little about it altogether. So actually, even if within people of Kashmiri heritage, they don't know the story of Kashmir and the story of the struggle and resolution, we need to start there to make sure that people know the story, so they're spreading the word, and as you were saying about how we get the word out there into the community. And of course then it's wider, because it is into the wide community. And I do think, one of the things I think about British people is that basically we have a great sense of fairness. And when people know that there are atrocities happening in the world, people generally go, that's wrong. You know, they may have some fundamental racism and other problems in them, but actually we're basically fair and go, well, that's wrong. If women are being raped, if people are being murdered, if there is chaos in the community, people think that's a wrong thing to do. So it's about then so part of it for me has to be about educating as many people as possible with very simple stories about Kashmir. And I think that needs to be done in the local press, in meetings, in exhibitions in town centres possibly. It's certainly in Bolton, apart from they have a marquee up. So let's have the story of Kashmir in the marquee, and in all of those various different places. So I think it's about education, and I accept the point too very much about, yeah, we have a responsibility to educate our peers here, and I think that's right. And I think how we can work on some of that material together would be really useful, because again, simple, straightforward stuff I think works a lot easier than you ask a parliamentarian to read the book and you say, oh yeah, we'll do that, and 6 months later we've still not got past page 2. So, but I think the other thing is, as a new MP, when do I do things here? Well, it's when, particularly if I'm asked by constituents. So one email from a constituent, well, I'll respond a bit to, and I'll do something about it. 10 emails or letters from constituents, I am definitely going to take action, and I don't think any of us are any different from that. That it is about, it is about making sure that people are contacting all MPs to say, what are you doing here? We've got this issue, and that can be, will you sign the EDM? Will you write to the minister? Will you come and speak to this meeting? So it is about, but often, if things come from national organisations, and it's not something that you've got a deep interest in, or a deep involvement in, or that your community is particularly affected by, you don't respond often. I mean, I'm talking sort of honestly to you, because there's so many things that come at you all the time. So you do have to choose what you're going to operate on. So, how do you make sure that we make sure that Kashmir is an issue for every MP? So it is about making sure that people who live in constituents are contacting MPs, their MP, about the issue. And ask for those meetings and ask them to take action. I'm not going to say a great deal more, but I think it is an issue, and I think for me it's had it feels like it's had a bit of resurgence of we need to take action, and so much of that's, I think, thanks to you and the organisation. The more we can encourage, the more we can educate, the more we can raise the issue, the more chance. It's about putting pressure on the government to say, we need you to do something about it. It's not enough just to say that's India and Pakistan's problem. It has to be that Britain has to be part of that solution, and ideally as well, America as well. And if you think about other situations, if you look at Palestine and Israel, how suddenly, I know we don't still have resolution to that, but it is a situation where people are listening to and taking account of. And if you look at our closest one in terms of Ireland, in the end, it was international action that actually got some resolution in Ireland. So it is about international action, yes. But I will do all that I can to support the cause. And I want to say as well, it's from the first meeting, I think there were no women. It's absolutely brilliant to see some women here. So thank you very much. Because it's about making sure that you do bring your wives and your sisters and your daughters and your brothers and your fathers and your sons as well. Because it is about making that a wide community activity, so that there are more people involved and more people pressured to be involved. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You are majority in this on this table.
Good.
Next time when you will have the next meeting, you will have more ladies on 5th of January, 5th of February in Manchester. So both of you, and I think all of you, 4 of you, Member of Parliament from North West region. So we will be having next meeting in the constituency.
Excellent.
With the ladies, 5th of February. That's a Kashmir Solidarity Day. Now I would like to request one of our supporter, and also like me, is every time, every month and every week in House of Commons, Mr. Shali Sahab, to say a few words.
Thank you very much.
A
bit of time. Give me a bit of time.
Thank you very much, Chairman Mujab Hussain. I think everybody knows that I'm the chairman of Third World Solidarity, and we run all-party parliamentary group in House of Commons, and most of these MPs, apart from David Little, have either attended or spoken in it in the last 25 years. Our next speaker happened to be Noam Chomsky on 8th of March. So if anybody is interested to come and listen to him, and he will be speaking on Palestine and Kashmir. These are the subjects he will be speaking. And I will give you details, obviously, MP will receive it, but I will send you. Can I start by thanking Raja Najab Hussain, who has crossed Third World Solidarity activities in House of Parliament and with MPs, because I think we do a lot of, but he has increased. I think it is because he represents 500,000 of Kashmiris living in United Kingdom, and he has got a lot of support. But can I request him on 2 issues? Number one, I think he needs to motivate more Kashmiris from Walthamstow, Newham and Redbridge, because that is the area where a lot of Kashmiris live, and Brent. And if there are some, please go, and there are a lot of Kashmiri councillors as well. So on your question, which you started with, that we need more support in London, I think you can contact them and they will be very happy to do it. Can I thank Gerald Kaufman for his work when he got the resolution passed in Brighton on Kashmir by Labour Party. Still, other two parties need to pass that resolution, and I will ask Raja Nijab to move that resolution in next conference, and also other colleagues from Liberal Democrat to raise this issue in their parties to pass a resolution, because these resolutions are very important. And I will tell you why. Because you are organizing 200 meetings from now till May. I think you should organize 600 meetings from now till the conference, and I will be part of it. I will be very happy to support you on this, that we can reach to the conference to all 3, 4, 5, 6 political parties of United Kingdom. I think we should not only work with 3 major parties, but we should work with the smaller parties as well, from Scotland, from Ireland, and from Wales as well. Because Irish question is very similar to Kashmir issue. And I think we can and we should learn from their experiences and how they came about it, because they have fought as well. And can I also say that it is very important that we carry on supporting. This is one of the issues, I think the MPs have already mentioned it, one of the oldest issues, because the resolution was passed, I think, in 1948, and the second one was passed in 1949, even older than Kashmir Palestine issue. But Palestine has taken over at the moment, because Palestinian people and the people in Britain, as Julie has said, know a lot about Palestine, but they know less about Kashmir. I think the responsibility lies on us, the Kashmiri people, the Pakistani peoples who are keen to raise this issue. I think this is not issue of justice to few thousand people or few 100,000 people, but this is issue of having justice to 30 million people in Kashmir. I think that is the number, if I am not wrong, that the people of Kashmir are. And if we can achieve justice to 30 million people within whatever period or scale of the period is, I think it will be a great achievement. And who will know better than Britain, the United Kingdom, more than issue of Kashmir? The parliamentarian, they don't need to be educated, because the issue of Kashmir has been highlighted over last, I think, 30, 40 years since Kashmiris became active in this country. And there are hundreds of other Kashmiris who are councillors, mayors, deputy mayor in the United Kingdom. If you can mobilize, and we should be able to mobilize them, I think we can contribute much more into the resolution of Kashmir, which should be peaceful through dialogue, as everybody has said, and on the table, not on the gun. And it is no doubt, it is one of the most dangerous issue in that region. 2 nuclear powers sitting, and they come across, I think, in 2000, very close to the war. And then in 2002, when Britain played a very important role, and I'm fully aware of their role, when they changed the statements of the Kashmiri Prime Minister, when he said, I can deal with Pakistan within 24 hours. And it was a very, very serious matter. I remember when I was shuttling in between as a representative of Third World Solidarity with many other MPs, and I was taking some of the delegates from Wagah border because the flights were closed. And I still remember one of the colleagues said, Mushtaq, can you come with me across the border? And I said, no, this is the territory where I can't even cross as a Pakistani passport holder. And he went and he lobbied the Indian government. I think we have a responsibility. We have great influence in the world today as a very important nation in international community. But let me end by just requesting everybody that Pakistan is a very important partner in it among us. And Pakistan needs a democratically elected government, which is at the moment, with free judiciary, free media. And if we can strengthen the democratic government of Pakistan, I think it will give more chance of democratically elected government of Pakistan, discussing with the democratically elected government of
the
India.
subject. Don't be representative for the government of Pakistan, talk for the Kashmir.
When government of Pakistan,
Please rise.
when the government of Pakistan is elected, when they speak to the government of India, which is also elected, they have more weight than if there is a military dictator. That is my point. And if we can fight the extremism in Pakistan, that will also give us much more weight to dialogue it with India. Thank you very much.
That is what you have mentioned, the involvement of Kashmiris. I think we are breaking through. in London. Now we have got Jodi Kamar Zaman Saab. He's my class fellow, and I think he has taken some task from London to move. Our sister Subia is working very closely with us, but I think she was not feeling well, but now she's okay. So, Sam, similarly Raja Javed Saab, and if you will help us, I think today we are looking at the majority people from London.
Yes.
And not from North.
Friends as well.
So,
Chair, if you don't mind my intervention, give me a
please,
chance to contribute.
I'll give you a chance. That we have got some speakers already lined up, and
I'll make a special
I will
point.
give you a chance to say a few words.
His Excellency Lord Kaufman,
So you want
because
to
he's
say,
a man of history here.
okay, you can
I'll-
first. But please brief. So.
Excellencies, and this sitting in the most sacred place in the history of democracy, the mother of parliaments. I am Amanullah Khan, a founding father of Pakistan People's Party. And since Petrus Lumumba was assassinated, we started our struggle against US imperialism. The point which I want to make to the great man Kaufman, if I'm not wrong, I'm pronouncing his name, and other honorable members of the House of Commons and the House of Lords, that when Holocaust was done, that pain was over. I don't dispute the number, 6 million or 8 million, but the death occurred. Now I take you to Greek mythology, my hero, the great Prometheus. His pain never come to an end. Let me warn the West, if Pakistan become a nuclear power, despite your tooth and nail opposition, let me tell you, I am the one, the co-founder of PPP. Let me announce on this sacred forum, through the great Raja Najabat, I congratulate him on his meeting, that if Pakistan could have a nuclear bomb, despite your tooth and nail opposition, Kashmir will be free. Number one. Number two, it is not the moon whose importance waxes and wanes. It is the most important issue at the moment at the table of the United Nations. And let me tell the members of the House of Commons, I have come out with a doctrine that is called Amanullah Khan doctrine. If Nixon can have a doctrine, if Brezhnev can have a doctrine, I have a doctrine. Don't smile. I am a political scientist. That Pakistan is the most important country of the world. If Pakistani leadership treats Pakistan in that light, the problem will come to an end. Don't say that we are nuclear powers. We have been forced to go nuclear. And India too, if you solve the Kashmir problem, you will have prosperity. Your people will get jobs. West will be more prosperous. Then by settling the Kashmir issue, then by selling armaments and weapons of mass destruction. So it is in the interest of the United Nations preamble and charter, and in the interest of the mother of democracy, its norms and its ethos, and the philosophy which I know Kaufman, because he had been preaching the cause of the oppressed people of Pakistan, the bonded labor, bonded children. My brother cannot step into Pakistan because he supported the Christian bonded labor. 20 years back, everybody could step there. Nawaz Sharif can go back there. Kashmiris are being murdered openly. This is a challenge to human conscience. Dr. Kaufman, make a delegation. Take it to Obama that this is, Palestine is important. But let me assure you, I'm not a Kashmiri by birth, you know. But I'm a human rights lover by the consciousness which I have gone. So I congratulate you. Don't have a policy of dependence on the Western media or on Marduk. Get independence for Kashmir.
Thank you.
To get liberation.
Now, I request one of our young activists, she has recently joined us, and preparing a speech on the way. Rachel Reeves, MP, Member of Parliament from Great West. Can I welcome you to this platform, please, Rachel?
Also Luciana Berger from Liverpool.
Yes, please.
Luciana,
Keep in touch from this.
Can I request Fozia to say a few words, please?
My honourable members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to this meeting on Kashmir. I have travelled from Greater Manchester to attend this event and would just like to say a few words. I'm not going to be taking a lot of your time. Firstly, I just want to share my personal experience of my first visit to my grandma's house. She lives on the line of control in Azad Kashmir, and I went there and stayed there for 5 days in a room in an area roughly about half the size of this room. While I was there, I wasn't allowed to go to the river, which was only a few hundred yards away, and the main reason was because there was constant threat from the Indian Army who occupied the mountains above. My grandma told me that they see people around and they start firing. People there are living in the village in constant threat from firing. There is no freedom to do what they want. My uncle lost his foot when he was younger by standing on a landmine. And my family and friends in Pakistan have been shot at many times. As you have heard from other speakers about these atrocities and human rights violations, they take place on a daily basis. And I've joined the Kashmir movement to become a voice for the women and children who are facing trauma on a daily basis. Why are the Western world silent about the human violations in Kashmir? The United Kingdom is a champion of democracy. It should be active in solving the issue of Kashmir. We are living in a global village and events are taking place in Kashmir affecting Kashmiris in the UK. For me personally, if anything serious happens to my family in Pakistan, in Kashmir, there will be a knock-on effect on my family here. I will be affected, my wife will be affected, my children will be affected. So, and I can truly believe that will happen to anybody, any Kashmiris who live in the UK. So for today, for this reason, today I urge you to take this matter seriously and assist in resolving this dispute in Kashmir, to give the Kashmir people a right to vote for themselves and to stop the atrocities in Kashmir. And I want to thank you for listening, and please take some action.
I think ladies and gentlemen, so we need to request Yasmin Qureshi to say a few words. I would like to welcome both members of Parliament, Luciana Berger from Liverpool and Rachel Reeves. So Julie, you are getting better.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. I think I'm one of those faces who's come to many issue meetings, and I've been involved in the issue for a long time, long before I became member of Parliament, which was only last year. And can I just say that when I was in Pakistan over the Christmas break, I met the Prime Minister of Azad Kashmir, he had quite a long chat with him about the issue of Kashmir, and of course he filled me even more details about what's happening in Kashmir, the political aspect of it, as well as the issues related to construction, reconstruction of parts of Kashmir as a result of the earthquake many years ago. One thing that happened when you were one of the sort of late speakers is that often what you want to say has been said by other speakers. So Gerald said, and Julie said, and the very eloquent, passionate speech from the young lady here, which I think anybody listening can't help but be moved, is that they do say things that you want to say, but I think maybe I want to pick up on 3 points that was raised by the previous speakers, which I think are important to look at. One point that Julie made was about the fact that she and I were at the same meeting in Bolton, where we met these young ladies whose fathers have been involved in the Kashmir movement for the last 20, 30 years, but the young people didn't know what the issue was about. And I don't think they're in isolation, I don't think they're few in numbers. I think the majority of the young Kashmiri origin, and you have to say they're now born British, so Kashmiri origin themselves don't know what the issue is. And it's important that the elders, actually the first point of call of duty of the elders to tell them what the issue is about. The next stage is, again, as been mentioned earlier, that we members of parliament, when we admit this, when a constituent writes to us about an issue, and as being said, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 emails or letters on an issue, then we will take it much more seriously and will actually do something about it, as opposed to even some progressive organisation, national organisation, writing and saying, oh yeah, it's another organisation. But your constituents, your voters, when they write to you, you are responsible to what they have to say, and therefore you react much more quickly and more strongly when it's your constituents writing to you. And although there are some MPs who've traditionally been very supportive of the Kashmir event, the numbers are the same, it's the same group of MPs. What we need to do is expand the number of what I call quote unquote usual suspects. You need to actually make it the 600 odd or 580 odd MPs who've not really taken any interest in this issue. And the real question is, how do you get those other MPs on board? Because only if you get a whole lot of parliamentarians A, being aware of the issue, being sympathetic to it, and willing to take up the cause of it, can only a movement or shift in government policies can take place. Because the government has a lot of responsibility, whether it's Labour government or Conservative government or whatever, they have a lot of things they want to do. And sometimes certain issues are not at the top of their priority or top of their list. But if a whole number of people, MPs across all the political parties, actually get involved in an issue and progress on it, then you're more likely to get a change occurring within the upper echelons of government or main opposition as well. And what I would say to people here is that you must have relative friends across the country who live in different constituencies. Urge them to write emails to their MPs, or most MPs have a constituency advisory surgeries every week, every couple of weeks. Go and see your constituents, your MP in his surgery. Or her surgery. I get people turning up, and my constituents who not just have casework issues, some people are just a policy or an issue they're concerned about, and they want to raise it with me. And there's many issues I don't know anything about. They come and tell me about it, and I sort of say, yeah, well, this is an important issue. And I think what I would suggest is that people who are active in this movement, and people that you must have at least 2, 3, between each individual must know at least 20, 30 other person of Kashmiri origin. Tell them, and let the word spread out. And I think that's really, for me, the message is that the more people you can tell what the issue of Kashmir is, talk about the human rights violations, and they are happening. Even Andrew Roy, the very famous Indian writer, a few months ago, did a big article in the mainstream newspaper which was published about the amount of human rights abuses that are occurring in Kashmir by the Indian armies, or what's happening. And she's, I think, they were threatening to prosecute her for subversiveness or whatever, or being unpatriotic. I don't know what's actually happened to her, whether it just got worse. But you've got reputable people who are able to confirm, as well as international reports about the human rights violation, emphasise that. And then finally, and this is perhaps something people sometimes don't think about, I know there's the Universal Declaration about the right of self-determination of the Palestinian people. That's been in existence for over 50 years. I think it needs to be re-emphasised that internationally, at the UN level, it's been recognised as a legitimate issue that needs to be resolved. And then finally, and I'll finish after this, is about the importance of how Kashmir is in relation to the whole stability of Afghanistan and Pakistan, and the surrounding, and India, and all that part of the South Asia region, because we spending so many billions, and the rest of the world as well, on Afghanistan, trying to tackle Taliban and trying to tackle this problem, and we're looking at the issue of instability in the countries around it. And Kashmir is actually linked with that. And I think unless and until governments and officials recognise the fact that the Kashmir issue is very much intrinsically linked with the Taliban issue and the Al-Qaeda issue, they're never going to achieve a resolution. And that's something people talk about much, often the connection there. People maybe don't want to talk about it, they don't want to acknowledge that it's a problem, but it is almost central, I would say, to the key issue linked with Afghanistan, Pakistan and India and the stability that's needed in that region. So, I think maybe these are things that everyone needs to re-emphasize and let those who are not aware understand that information.
Thank you very much. I wanted to request Qureshi Saab, Nazir Qureshi Saab from World Kashmir Freedom Movement, but our members of parliament has to leave very soon, so I would like to request Rachel Reeves, member of parliament from Leeds West. She has arranged our meeting with Yvette Cooper and we went Friday evening. It went very well. Our group of ladies attended that meeting as well, and we gave this letter. And now I'm thankful that she brought another colleague. So, Rachel, if you want to say a few words, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the second event in Parliament that I've addressed you at, and of course at the meeting in Leeds at the Town Hall a few months ago. So I hope you recognise me as a friend of your movement, and it's great to be here again. You mentioned, Mr. Chairman, the event we had in Leeds on Friday night, and Yvette Cooper was at that event, and had an opportunity to meet with her and present a letter. And I hope that will be useful to you, especially with Yvette being the Shadow Foreign Secretary now. And of course, Hilary Benn, another supporter of the movement, and the Leeds Central, was also there, and you're able to talk with him as well. A fantastic speech from Yasmin, and also from Buzia, who we met on Friday. And it was brilliant to hear what you have to say, and really bringing it to life for people who don't have experience of the region, and thank you for coming on Friday as well. I signed the early day motion last year, and keen to work with you going forward, both in Leeds and especially in the Armley part of my constituency, where I work closely with the Muslim community and the Kashmiri community there, and also nationally here in Parliament. So it's great to be here again. Pass over to Luciana, the MP for Liverpool Waverley, just to say a few words.
Luciana.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Rachel. I'm here this evening because Councillor Mohammed Azam invited me to be here. And I say that because I don't have anyone in my constituency that has raised the issue of Kashmir. And it was from my experience of campaigning in the Oldham and Saddleworth by-election and spending quite a few days with the Kashmiri community there that I came to learn and understand about the challenges in the region. This is my first event. I'm not, by any way, an expert, and I hope to become one. But it's been a very valuable experience for me to hear what you've shared with us this evening, and thank you so very much. And I look forward to being one of the many MPs that Yasmin referred to that didn't know previously about the problems and the challenges in the region, and bringing more people on board. So thank you very much for having me here this evening.
Nazir Ahmed Qureshi Saab, who is Vice President of World Kashmir Freedom Movement from Srinagar. He previously worked in Middle East and now based in London. Qureshi Saab, please.
Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Mr. Chairman and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me today. I am sorry for being late today because I was in some meeting and there I could not manage to come earlier. When I entered in the room, I heard that people were talking about our sisters or ladies, they are not participating in our meeting. So, and others think that we have to work for the motivation of Kashmiri people here. I was surprised because sometimes for the ladies, if I would say, a lady is much heavier than 100,000 men sometimes. So,
Always.
always,
better.
yeah, so quality matters than quantity. So when we have our sisters like Yasmin Qureshi sisters and like Julia who are supported, so they are, I think, better than hundreds of men who are sleeping, or those Kashmiris who are very well sleeping. Just I remembered a share, a verse of a shair, Zamana बड़े गौर से सुन रहा था, हम ही सो गए दास्तान कहते कहते. I was surprised that today we are talking about the Kashmiris. How they will get up here? They are in a very deep sleep. While as we see hundreds, thousands people have been martyred in Kashmir, occupied Kashmir. When my sister was talking, I remember my father. When I was only 7 years old, he used to talk about his brother who had migrated from occupied Kashmir to Azad Kashmir. And up to their death, they could not see each other. It was because of those days when my father used to say these stories that I migrated from my own Kashmir. I left my Kashmir for the struggle and joined the struggle. And I could not see my father who passed away in the tomb. I could not see my mother who passed away 10 years back. Suppression, killings, torture. Perhaps we have no words to express those here. What is happening in Kashmir, what is happening with our sisters, really, I cannot express that. From my family, from my sister, my brother-in-law was brutally killed. He was taken from his house. He was married to my sister. Only just some years, they were not having even a child. He was dragged from house. His limbs were broken.
Oh. Real shame.
He was kept. He could not stand, but he was kept with a tree, and he was fired there with a mortar gun. And from that day, my sister, I am witness of it. When I saw her, she came for Hajj. We met after about 15 years in Mecca. I could not recognize her. She was my youngest sister, and she had grown old. I could not recognize her. I went 3-4 times to meet her, but I could not recognize her. This is not because she is my sister. Thousands of sisters who have been molested there, who have lost their spouses, they are my sisters. And more than 100,000 orphans, they are my children. Why? Because people demand a right of self-determination. We are backed. Our demand is backed by the resolutions, UN resolutions. But those resolutions, why they are not being implemented in Kashmir? If resolutions are implemented in Kuwait, if resolutions are implemented in East Timor, if resolutions are implemented in Iraq, and if now recently right of self-determination being given just there, that is being privileged in Sudan, why not for Kashmiris? But what we get when we demand from India, killing, torture, and still our leaders, they are under arrest, under home arrest. And you know Sayyid Ali Gilani, his age is about 90, he is home arrest. And he is a cancer patient. Shabir Shah, under home arrest there. But world is not listening our voices. So here, I would appreciate Raja Saab's efforts, your participation here today, previously, and especially Lashari Sahab, mashallah, he is organizing, and especially here, I would appreciate media people. I would appreciate Jio, Jang, Dar Sahab, and all these brothers whom I see everywhere when there is people, and PTV here, and also others who are just there, great sacrifices. Sayyid Sahab, I see them everywhere, and it not encourages me, it encourages to the people who are against that is so-called democratic country which is India, but basically there is dictatorship, I would say, or that is bad name of on the face of democracy.
Thank you very much, Rashi Sahab. Can I now request our one of the oldest activists with our organization, Sibia Shahzad, to say a few words.
Thank you, Chairman, and honored guest. Nice to see you again. Thank you, well done, all of you. Yes, I have been active for the last 25 years, something like that. I think some of the things that we've done, we need to revisit and develop a new strategy on how we're going to go forward with it. Some of the good practices, we had Kashmir Day, do you remember? We need to bring that back as some sort of an awareness for school children. We need to engage with school children, and what we've been doing, our women's group in London, is actually being engaged with the European Parliamentary MEPs. And I think that's where we need to go now. We need to go into Europe and start waking them up a little bit. Because I think they play a more strategic part in this issue that we have. We've been to Parliament. I think, it's not fair to say we didn't have too many MPs. I recall we had a meeting where we had 49 MPs who came to one of your meetings.
64.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And they outnumbered the public, I think. We all had to stand in the doorways. So I think we can get them all infused. It's just that Raja Najab has been after the picture for a little while, and since he's been back, it's sort of reignited the issue and it's coming to the forefront. I think we need to go forward with the all-parliamentary working group, with the MPs, with ourselves again, and put that very firmly in the agenda forward. I think one of the things that we need to not go on too much about, but reinstate with our MPs that there are around 60 odd seats that are determined by the Kashmiri vote. And we need to work on that quite closely. I think it's very important that while we are selecting our MPs or councillors, we need to ask them a question about what their stance is on Kashmir. And on a positive note, I think on a more enjoyable one, I would like to re-establish Kashmir Day and Kashmir Awareness Day and encourage councillors and councils to have that particular day and have some kind of awareness throughout the community, especially targeting the schools. Like you say, communities don't know much about Kashmir, but I recall they do. In Bradford, they certainly do. I attended a women's meeting there with 150 women who knew very much, a lot more than I did, in fact, about what's been going on in Kashmir and how to raise awareness. But I'm really delighted to see you ladies here. I'm sorry that my ladies couldn't come because they're working. Unfortunately, London ladies do work a lot. And while they've got the job, they have to hang on to it. They work. This is what I mean. You take a day off. But today, these days, when very much your jobs are on the line, they're a bit intimidated and want to say, pass on their goodwill and say, keep up with the emails, right? Encourage your ladies to send all those emails because our ladies are. We certainly join in with the canvassing and other bits that we need to do. So they are working very hard behind the scenes. Only recently, I think in November, we had a meeting about how to raise awareness on different issues. Because there's a huge community out there that has a very negative view about Pakistanis and Kashmiris. They don't recognize you as a Pakistani or a Kashmiri, they recognize you as a Pakistani. Full stop, even Indian community. So there's a bit of a negative perception going on around. And I think we need to get rid of those negative images, with you ladies being in the forefront, coming up with your ideas, speaking, more importantly, and engaging with your own community as well as the mainstream community is very, very important. But our next stop, ladies, is Europe. Okay? Thank you very much.
You are back in action, I am back in action, and I think things are moving. Hopefully, we have got very good support and friends joining us. So I would like to request another friend who has joined us tonight, Dr. Amjad Ayub Mirza Sahab, to say a few words.
Thank you very much.
And he can contribute to our movement.
As you've mentioned, all of you getting back into action, I would like to join this action. But I would just like to bring your attention to the pain that is caused when you are robbed of your identity. India, if you're born in India, you are an Indian, you've got an Indian passport. If you're born in Pakistan, like Punjab or Sindh or Balochistan, you've got a Pakistani passport. But if you're born in Kashmir, you are forced to take either a Pakistani identity, a Pakistani passport, or an Indian passport. Other than that, you are not recognized as a nation. They have tried to wipe out this concept that Kashmiris are a nation and reduced us to an issue. They call us an issue. We are an issue. We are not a nation. We are an issue. There are so many problems facing Kashmiris in Pakistan and India, both sides. The most important, I think, and urgent problem that is faced by the Kashmiri community in Pakistan and India is the visa restriction. I think that we should try and address this issue, that what is the fault of my grandfather, that who was by accident was on the wrong side of the border and died at the age of 90, sitting in the same balcony for more than 50 years, waiting for the bloody postman, excuse my language, to come with the letter that says that yes, the border is reopened and you can go back to your home. Yeah, what is this visa restriction for people of the same family that they can, I mean, the Berlin Wall has come down, but this Kashmir, invisible Kashmir wall raises higher and higher and higher and higher. And why are we, the Kashmiris, forced to take these false identities? Why cannot the Kashmiris have a special, like a travel document that says the nationality of Kashmiris as Kashmiris? This is, I think, the most urgent and important task that is facing the people of Kashmir, and this should be brought onto the agenda of the wider state. That's all I want to contribute. Thank you.
There are a lot of issues, whether somebody says or whether some governments make it an issue only, but we, the people of Jammu and Kashmir, are fighting for our right of self-determination. But as a nation, but the whole state of Jammu and Kashmir consists of 84,000 square miles and 15 million people, living not only in Jammu and Kashmir, in Srinagar and Jammu, in Ladakh, in Gilgit-Baltistan, in Azad Kashmir, and even people who live in Lahore and Karachi and Bradford and London and Manchester as well. The whole region of Jammu and Kashmir people, we are fighting for that.
Dr.
That's our
as well, Mirpur.
But that's
for your information.
But that we can assure you that our movement, especially Jammu Kashmir self-determination movement, we are campaigning for the whole state. Some people say only when they talk about Valley, about Jammu only, about Azad Kashmir, but we are talking about the whole state. And I think majority of the Kashmiri, you can say unanimously, Kashmiris believe unification of state of Jammu and Kashmir. Nobody is supporting division of Kashmir. Whether some people have got the ideology of India, accession to India, accession to Pakistan, or independence, but nobody believes division of Kashmir. So keep in mind, we keep struggling, and if you are from Mirpur or Azad Kashmir, you should be supporting and working with us. We are trying our best, and we have got suggestions from everybody that Kashmiris are not united. We have tried our best to invite everybody. If we can't be united, it's not our fault. The parliamentarian has given us time, media has given us support, we have a lot of community support. But if there are some leaders who don't want to unite the Kashmiri community, who want to divide the Kashmiri community, those kinds of leaders were in 1947, those were early 40s, they were in early 30s there as well. So those are the people who have betrayed our movement. There are some people today as well, but we, the freedom fighters, will keep fighting on our cause. So now I would like to request one of our own friend, also working for some struggle peace movement, Raja Javed Sahab, to say a few words.
Mr. Chairman, sir, as dear friends, as all had a very debatable discussion about the Kashmir issues, I do support, and I think there was enough speeches for the people, and I'll be a little bit more content on one point. My humble suggestion is that we are struggling from a long time for the Kashmir cause, and regularly you are gathering and the number of people being increased gradually. My humble suggestion is that through the offices of the local MPs, why don't you put on a adjourned motion regarding the concerned human rights violation in Kashmir, and if with the support of the local MPs, these message could be sent to the Commonwealth and also to the United Nations, and we should pressurize these institutions, these places who claim for the championship of justice and peace, and we should encourage these things and get it on a practical side, that what is the outcome of it. And thank you very much. Once again, we fully supported you for this good cause and wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Another activist with us, whether I have not asked her, she wants to make any contribution. Saima Yusuf, she has joined us in last 2 meetings. If you want to
yes, I want to say that this is not one person cause, and this is not just for Kashmiris or Pakistanis or India. This is for everybody. We all should take contribution, and we should all strengthen this campaign, and this campaign should be street to street, door to door, not just in parliamentarian, or it should promote it in universities as well, colleges, because mostly students, mostly people are not aware of this issue. They thought that Pakistan wants Kashmir, but they don't know Kashmiri want freedom. So we should enhance awareness. That's what I want to do.
Thank you very much. At the end now, I would like to request Secretary General of our organization, Mohammed Azim, to say a few words, and then we will conclude.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, can I first of all welcome you to House of Commons, to this meeting of Jammu Kashmir Self-Determination Movement. The aim of this meeting today is primarily to raise the awareness of Kashmir. It's to raise the awareness amongst the MPs, amongst ourselves, amongst the community, through activists like yourself, through the media, through our own friends and colleagues. So I'm hopeful with the attendance that we've had here today, we will be able to take this message out, and we will be able to tell other people outside that the issue of Jammu and Kashmir needs to be resolved. It needs to be resolved not only by Kashmiris. I've heard a lot of people saying Kashmiris need to be involved, Kashmiris need to be involved. Yes, the Kashmiris need to be involved because it is their issue. But if you're a human being, this is your issue. You should also be concerned. Because if today the human rights of Kashmiris are being trampled on, tomorrow it will be your human rights. So it is in your interest to stop the human rights violations taking place in Kashmir. The largest democracy that is being alleged, India, is allowed to carry out these atrocities. It is allowed to carry out barbaric acts. If you have a young person of 13 and she gets raped or gang raped, what kind of people would allow their own daughters to go through that kind of process? Is the West blind, deaf and dumb? If it isn't, why are we not condemning India? Why do we talk about human rights violations when we're doing deals with China and yet India is given a free ride? It is because people like us do not raise this issue. We talk about our own interests. We talk about our own benefit. We do not talk about the global issues. It is high time that we took an interest, not only an interest, but an active interest. We started to raise issues with the MPs. As you've been told today by MPs themselves, if you are a constituent, your concerns will be taken up. If you are not a constituent, and it's an organisation which is run by Adam Jabbat or anybody else, that letter will come, but that will all end up in the bin. It will only be acted upon if you are a constituent, if you are a voter. You elect the democracy that exists in these places. People who sit here come here because of your vote. If you use that vote and then use that right and inform them, then you will see the difference. And it is that clear message that we want people out there to receive. I think there are a number of issues that I want to highlight on. Because I'm going to be the last speaker, I just want to take a few minutes if it's okay with you all. The movement has started its third year in being in existence. Within that short period of time, we've established quite a lot of procedures, structures and productive ways of organising. And we are seeing some fruits today. You're seeing a large increase in female participation. You are seeing activity by female members increasing and also taking leadership positions. Our organisation from 11 regions, inshallah in the next couple of months, 6 of those, which means 50% of them, will be run by women. That is a unique organisation that 50% of them will be run by female members. You've heard Saima. Saima is a member of the National Union of Students. Saima is working with us to establish a wing of Jammu Kashmir self-determination movement in colleges and universities. What we don't want to do is rush into things. We do not want our members to be subject to the sort of scrutiny and the sort of unwanted intention from the police. So we will not rush into things. We will make sure our members are safe. We want our members to raise awareness, raise the voice in a way they are free and that it reaches the right places without any danger to their life, property or their future. And that is important. That is something that we're working with Simon and her colleagues. One of the things also we're doing is trade union movement. We are already in contact with and we will continue to work with trade union movement. Trade union movements in this country, as you know, are a well-organised institution and without their support we will not succeed. Some of the MPs you saw, people like Julie Illing, come from that movement, and they are very, very supportive. But it is important that we as a community are seen to be active, that we need to take the lead. And mashallah, we are seeing a lot of our young people, a lot of our members, especially female members, are playing that active role, and we will, inshallah, succeed in this. We already have a website. We are now working on Facebook and Twitter and other social networks. These are the only ways we are going to make progress. What we need is things from Kashmir and from our politicians in Azad Kashmir and Pakistan. What are those things? Any atrocities that are taking place in Kashmir, we need to know. We need to see them so we can put them on Facebook. We can send them to the MPs. We can have motion on those. We need to make sure that we have the evidence. We are working with a number of solicitors and barristers at the moment because what we want to do is take India to the Human Rights Court. We cannot take them to court without the evidence. The evidence is not being provided to us by Pakistani politicians. Is not being provided to us by Azad Kashmir politicians. Is not being provided to us from people from Kashmir. We can understand why people from Kashmir, Hell Kashmir, are not being able to do that because their life, property, everything else is at risk. But what is stopping our Pakistani politicians and politicians from Kashmir from giving us that evidence? It is obvious they're looking at their own interests. It is time they came out of that and looked at the global issue. They need to be looking at why and how they can help us with our movement. And up to now, our movement has never criticised anybody. Today, first time you're hearing a few words, but these are factual things. I am not criticising them. These are needs of the organisation. These are needs of the time. We need that information, we need that evidence for us to take the next actions. Without that information, without that evidence, we cannot move. So I am urging every one of you, if you have contact with politicians in Pakistan and Kashmir, please urge them, we need that information. If you have contact in Kashmir, we need that information. We need to see those pictures. We need to see those stories. The two that we've heard today, from a sister over here and a brother over here, I can assure you the politicians that were sat here, those politicians will remember these stories. They will go out there and they will tell their colleagues. Because I know them personally, I know how they work. And those stories are not just stories for the sake of making a speech. These are stories that are actually reality. Some people have suffered, and because of their suffering, the rest of us are suffering also, but because of that suffering, inshallah, these people will take action to stop further suffering taking place. So if we are genuinely interested, if we are genuinely wanting to make a change in Jammu Kashmir, then we need to take part in this organisation. We need to become part of this. We need to actively take part. We need to be campaigning. We need to be sending email to our MPs. We need to make sure we are raising this issue at every platform. So we need to make sure that at the moment the organisation is setting up Kashmir working groups in every council. If you are a councillor, that is something that you can do. These are just some of the things. I would want to go on and give you further information as to the way the organisation is planning on carrying those works out. But I'm being asked that I may have spoken for too long already. However, actions speak louder than words. Your actions is what's needed. If the organisation is not doing something that you want us to do, please get in touch. We are always welcoming criticism, so long as it's constructive criticism. We are here to serve and to work for the people of Kashmir. We want them to have the self-determination. We want the atrocities to stop. We want the human rights violations to stop. We want prosperity and peace in Kashmir. And I'm sure everybody in this room wants that for Kashmir. If that is what you want, let's come out of this room, let's get out there, let's make sure we do everything we can to bring peace and prosperity to the people of Kashmir. After all, they deserve it, they need it, and they want it now. Thank you very much.
ट्रेड यूनियन स्पीच सुनकर आप लोगों को कुछ थोड़ा सा मोबिलाइजेशन हुई होगी। मैं समझता हूँ आजम साहब हमारे लिए सच्ची बात है, लेबर पार्टी की नेशनल एग्जीक्यूटिव के मेंबर थे, बड़ा एक्टिव रोल है ट्रेड यूनियन में, लेबर पार्टी में भी, और फिर ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन भी मैं अक्सर दोस्तों को कहा करता हूँ कि ब्रांड बिहाइंड दिस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन राजा नजाबत तो सिर्फ कठपुतली है आज सामने सामने, असल बात तो आजम साहब हैं। आई एम थैंकफुल टू हिम कि वो कंप्यूटर पे भी काम करते हैं, गाड़ी भी ड्राइव यही करते हैं, मैं गाड़ी भी ड्राइव नहीं कर सकता, और तकरीर भी ऑलराउंडर, तो फोटोग्राफी भी करते हैं, और ये भी रात को आप वेबसाइट पे और फेसबुक पे हमारे ये फोटोग्राफ्स भी देख सकेंगे। ये सोएंगे उस वक्त जब तक ये काम अपना। तो थैंक यू वेरी मच, सब लोगों का बहुत शुक्रिया। खुशी तौर पर मैं मीडिया के दोस्तों का बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि आप सारे लोग